Hello, dear viewers. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most defining and painful chapters in modern royal history. As the 30th anniversary of Princess Diana's explosive panorama interview approaches, the world, once again, finds itself reflecting on the emotional earthquake it triggered inside the House of Windsor, an earthquake whose tremors shaped not only public perceptions of the monarchy, but also the man Prince William would one day become. Revisiting that moment requires stepping back into the world William grew up in, a world defined by glamour on the surface and turmoil behind closed doors. This year, a new wax figure of Princess Diana unveiled in Paris has unexpectedly reopened old wounds. The Graven Museum chose to present Diana in her now legendary revenge dress, the sleek, off-the-shoulder black Christina Stambolian gown she wore on the night Prince Charles publicly admitted his infidelity in 1994. It was a fashion moment that became a cultural earthquake, Diana stepping into the spotlight, looking radiant, confident, and heartbreakingly independent. But what stirred controversy was not the dress itself, it was the timing. The museum unveiled the figure on November 20th, the exact anniversary of the 1995 Panorama interview, a broadcast now infamous for the deceitful tactics used by BBC journalist Martin Bashir. Critics swiftly called the date extraordinary and tasteless, especially now that investigations have confirmed the interview was obtained through manipulation. Yes, the dress was iconic, they argued. Yes, it represented a turning point in Diana's transformation from wounded princess to global symbol of resilience. But tying it to the anniversary of the interview, a moment that deeply traumatized her sons, felt like reopening a scar. Still, curators defended their decision. To them, the dress embodied a powerful image of assertive femininity, a visual reminder of Diana's confidence, humanity, and independence. But even as admirers debated the artistic choices, the unveiling inevitably revived the old conversations about Charles and Diana's fractured marriage and about the two young boys caught in the crossfire. For many royal fans, the wax figure did not quite capture Diana's softness. Comments poured in on social media. "She was so much prettier than this one," wrote. "No. Justice was not done," said another. But beyond aesthetic debates, the statue became a symbol of something more complicated, how memories of Diana continue to evolve, and how the world's fascination with her story still mirrors the unresolved tension between public image and private agony. To understand the weight of these moments for Prince William, one must revisit the emotional climate of his childhood. For generations, royal parenting was shaped by duty, formality, and distance. Queen Elizabeth II often spoke openly about the challenges of balancing crown and motherhood. King Charles, in turn, grew up largely in the care of nannies and at boarding schools, absorbing a family culture that prized stoicism over vulnerability. This emotional distance carried into Charles's own marriage. As tensions between him and Diana escalated, much of the strain was left unspoken at home. William and Harry felt the stress long before the public saw cracks in the royal facade. One expert noted William's attitude has been influenced by his childhood and the very public war between his parents, especially the Panorama debacle. As a teenager at Eton, William was reportedly aghast at the interview, stunned by how exposed and unprotected his mother seemed. And then only 2 years later, she was gone. Her death hit the brothers in different ways. But for William, the combination of public scrutiny, private chaos, and overwhelming grief forged a deep instinct to protect his future family from the emotional turbulence he had endured. That instinct would later drive his approach to fatherhood. When Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis arrived, William vowed to create something he himself had rarely known: a stable, emotionally open home. From the start, he has tried to bring his children up as normally as possible, a royal insider explained. He is fiercely protective of their privacy. William himself once said, "Hiding stuff from them doesn't work," a revealing comment that hints at how determined he is to break the cycle of secrecy that defined his childhood. And the link between past and present became even clearer when the Graven Museum placed Diana's wax figure next to existing statues of King Charles and Queen Elizabeth. On one hand, it honored her lasting influence. Diana remains adored in Paris, the city where she tragically died in 1997. On the other hand, it resurrected the emotional weight of the Panorama interview, especially for William and Harry. In 2021, following Bashir's formal apology, the BBC vowed never to air the interview again. For William, the apology brought no relief. He stated firmly, "The deceitful way the interview was obtained substantially influenced what my mother said." In his view, it helped accelerate the unraveling of his parents' marriage and caused long-lasting harm. Harry, while acknowledging the deception, emphasized that Diana had spoken her truth, a difference that highlighted the brothers' diverging paths in processing their mother's legacy. But the interview's shadow has also shaped how William speaks to his own children. In a recent conversation with Brazilian presenter Luciano Huck, he spoke candidly about the challenges of raising young royals in an age when information travels instantly and uncontrollably. "Sometimes you feel you're oversharing with the children you probably shouldn't," he admitted. But that instinct for openness is no accident. It was forged by years of secrecy and media storms swirling around him as a boy. That philosophy was put into practice when Princess Catherine received her cancer diagnosis in 2024. There was no hesitation, insiders said William and Catherine would tell George, Charlotte, and Louis themselves. They did not want their children hearing devastating news from anyone else. Difficult conversations, Catherine explained, build trust, respect, and self-esteem. It is a heartbreaking, full-circle moment. The boy who once felt silenced in the chaos of his parents' crumbling marriage now insists on transparency and emotional honesty with his own family. And in this arc, from Diana's revenge dress to William's reflections as a father, the legacy of that turbulent era becomes clear. Diana's charisma, courage, and vulnerability reshaped the monarchy in ways that outlived her. Her pain became a catalyst for William's evolution into a protective, compassionate modern royal. And her story continues to reverberate through the choices he makes, not as a future king, but as a husband and father who refuses to let history repeat itself. In many ways, William's confession about how deeply his parents' marriage affected him is not just a reflection on the past. It is a portrait of the monarchy's future, one built not on emotional distance but on honesty, not on rigid tradition, but on the lessons of a mother whose truth-telling changed everything.